Hello, folks, and thank you guys for checking out our annual meeting this year via PowerPoint. My name is Dana Boyle, and I'm president of the Northern Neck Vegetable Growers Association, and I welcome you. We would love to be able to be with you all this year in person to fellowship and have lunch together and all that fun stuff. But since that could not happen, I will instead take this time to thank our extension agents, Stephanie and Trent, for putting together this information pack program. For those of you joining us that are not members of the Northern Neck Vegetable Growers Association, please consider contacting me or one of our members or one of our extension agents to find out more about our educational programs, our educational trips, our scholarship, and more. We'd love to share more information with you about our fun association.
Hello, my name is Marlene Larios. I work as a program coordinator for the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, Office of Pesticides. This is an update on the worker protection standard for the Northern Neck Vegetable Grower meeting. I sincerely appreciate the invitation. I'm going to take about 15 minutes to give you an update, and we're not going to cover all the topics in WPS, but most importantly, I'm going to cover some of the most recent updates and resources available to you so you can avoid any issues with lack of compliance and help you to have everything in order, primarily the pesticide safety training component. When does the worker protection apply? If you look at the products used in your establishment and you have in the label an agricultural use requirement statement, that means that worker protection applies to you. The worker protection standards has been around since 1992, and it was approved by the Environmental Protection Agency primarily to reduce the risk of illness or injury to workers and handlers resulting from occupational exposures to pesticides. As you recall, in 2015, it was revised and updated. One of the first resources that I'd like to share is the pesticideresources.org website. If you were not aware, this is a wonderful bank of information, and you can have at your fingertips all kind of training materials, updated posters, respiratory protection guide. You can download the how to comply manual. You can also have that especially requested to be delivered to you by mail if you contact me at the end of this presentation. There are several resources in multiple languages, English, Creole, and many more. So if you have not visited this website, I encourage you to do so. I mean, you can certainly pay for resources if you prefer, but most of the approved EPA materials are going to be basically located on this website. So just to give you a quick reminder, who does the WPS applies to? We have basically farms, sod farms, orchards, Christmas trees, hemp or cannabis production, nurseries, greenhouses, vineyards. And if you think about it, even in organic pesticides, the agricultural statement might be located there. So read the label because the label is the law. General or restricted use pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, and so many more. Please look carefully at your labels. We're going to take a minute to define who is the worker. Any person, including a self-employed person who is employed and perform activities directly related to the production of agricultural plants on an agricultural establishment. Also, a person is a worker under the WPS if they work in areas that were treated with a worker protection standard labeled pesticide within the last 30 days, or where a restricted entry interval was in effect in those last 30 days. Some of the tasks involved with workers are going to be harvesting, thinning, hand weeding, pest scouting, pruning, planting, preparing sites or media for planting, carrying nursery stock, or even watering. A handler is defined as someone who is involved in mixing, loading, helping to apply or applying pesticides, disposing pesticides, handling open containers, acting as a flagger, cleaning, adjusting, handler, or repairing equipment that might have pesticide residues. Also, a handler is anyone who enters an enclosed space after it was treated and before ventilation criteria have been met. A treated area outdoors after application of a soil fumigant before aeration. Performing tasks as a crop advisor during a pesticide application or restricted entry interval as well. Here are the 3 principles of the worker protection standard. We inform, to protect, and to mitigate. You probably have seen this before, but I'm going to present to you primarily today or expand on is the inform topic. Here are the components of informing. Informing includes to host and have a pesticide safety training. Also, we're going to give you some options about how a trainer can be qualified. We're going to discuss the posted pesticide safety information, your application, record keeping, and your pesticide application notification requirements. We're going to be referring to some portions of the core manual and also the how to comply manual for the worker protection standards. So who can provide training to your workers? Here are the different components that need to be met. As you recall, in the past, it used to be a grace period for training. There is no grace period anymore. Some of those topics for worker and handler have been expanded. Now you have to use training materials that are approved by EPA. They're going to have, I believe it's 5 different digits. Also, the trainer has to be present throughout the entire training. We're going to cover virtual training options. Trainers have to be qualified, and also this training is now required every year. So when we talk about trainer qualifications, the how to comply manual explains the requirements. They're very simple. There are only 2, maybe 3 options. Your trainer is going to be someone who is either a private applicator or someone who's certified to apply restricted use pesticides, or someone who has completed the web-based training now approved by EPA. This web-based training, it's available on the pesticideresources.org website I mentioned earlier, and it takes 2 to 3 hours to complete. It could be completed from home or from your office. It does have a small cost, but so far this training, it does not have an expiration date. It is available in Spanish and in English, and the approval number is 00030. If you have someone in your establishment or in your business and you want to assign that person to be the one who conducts this training every year, you don't want him to necessarily become a private applicator, this is an excellent option. So the question is, can I do remote WPS training? And are there any materials that I can use? I used to come several years ago to the North Neck area to provide in-person training when I was actually wearing the hat of the pesticide trainer. So now we have more options and we can do this training virtually. And the answer is yes, training can be provided from a remote location. One of their components is that we just discussed is having this person be qualified. Also, the other requirement is to have approved materials, and they're listed in the pesticideresources.org, but I'm going to give you a list or a specific numbers if you have someone already that can conduct this training. Here are the different slides and how you get to those materials on the website. These are my recommended resources. The numbers are 0028 and 0031. Both of those are available in the PERC website or in YouTube. I also have copies that I can send by regular mail. I have provided some to Stephanie as well. I believe the copies that she has are for workers. And they come in English and Spanish. So we went over the training requirements. Training materials need to be approved by EPA. And this particular photo, this was taken a few years ago by pesticide trainer at Telem Corporation. He was using primarily a flip chart. So if you prefer to have a flip chart available for your establishment, that is also available on the PERC website. One of the components that I have not mentioned with the virtual training is that someone has to be in the room monitoring that the workers are paying attention, that they are available for the virtual trainer to ask questions and interact. Most of these videos are anywhere between 30 average for worker and maybe 45 for the handler, but you do want to allow time to interact and to get your workers engaged. There we have an entire bank of videos, and sometimes when you tell your workers was it's time to get the pesticide training, well, they might not be necessarily excited because they go, well, I mean, we've seen that video, the same video all over again. Well, guess what? Now we have several videos available. And it's important to share why this is, not only recommended, but is important to remind them about the things they need to do to stay healthy and to prevent pesticide exposure. Another component is going to be the training record requirement. Training records must be kept for at least 2 years, and they must include trainer full name and evidence of qualification, as we discussed before, employer's name, date of training materials approved number by EPA, as well as the worker or handler name and their signature. Photo on the slide was taken this year at Rosa's Garden in Mechanicsville. Wanted to give you also a brief update on pesticide safety training. We are currently working in renewing the agreement with Telamon, so stay tuned. We had in the past offered a match, a grant to Telamon to provide a pesticide safety trainer that could provide the services statewide. Remember that the training must be provided to the workers in their native language. They also have to have someone that they can ask questions. So if your business does not have someone who could be a fluent in their language, you can use a translator. You can reach out to me for assistance as well. I am bilingual in Spanish. So more updates, stay tuned with that agreement, and we will keep you posted as we, if they hire a pesticide trainer. One of the components as well is informing your workers on pesticide safety is to keep your central posting complete with hazard information that includes the safety data sheets. The good news is this big poster that you see on the right has been updated. Now we have a smaller version that you can actually download for free. And I'm going to give you the link on the next slide. EPA developed updated pesticide safety posters. They come in at least 10 different languages. This one is in English. It's one that you can basically print from the comfort of your office or home, and is 8.5 by 11. Now, keep in mind that if you print one of these posters on English and you have workers that speak Spanish, you will need to print that version of the poster as well. And don't forget to fill up the bottom of the poster with who to contact in case of an emergency and our Office of Pesticides contact information. Updates to the pesticide record keeping, they kind of remain the same. Workers and handlers must be able to obtain information about pesticide applications, such as records and SDS sheets that occur when they were employed. And you must, the facilities, you should have records kept for at least 2 years. SDS, applications, and even training records. Remember to have all the safety data sheets for all pesticide supplies in the last 30 days, or, if those restricted entry intervals were active in the last 30 days. After that period of time, 30 days after the restricted entry interval expire, you can certainly file those records. I have received questions from other growers asking if digital copy is okay. is certainly okay as long as your workers can access that information. If you have a restricted passcode computer, they must be able to retrieve that information, and they must be training how to access it as well. What's important is, for them, in case of an emergency, will they be able to grab those safety data sheets with them? Keep that in mind when you develop a mechanism to file those safety data sheets. The imposing of the applications for indoor and outdoors is different. When to post signs when you are conducting a outdoor versus an indoor application is simple. If your restricted entry interval is greater than 48 hours, you need to post an outdoor application. If you're working in a nursery or greenhouse indoors in an enclosed space, you will need to post your sign only if the restricted entry interval is greater than 4 hours. You might remove or cover the sign within 3 days of the end of an application or restricted entry interval until the workers are kicked out. I want to thank Casey Buell from Oregon State University. She's the creator of the PERC Deputy PERC website, for letting me borrow and adapt her presentation, WPS Basics to Agricultural Employers. She developed that presentation back in 2018, as well as Jackie Brown for helping me with the recording and edits for this presentation. Again, my name is Marlene Larios. I work as a program coordinator for VDAGs. My contact information and email is at the bottom of this slide. Feel free to contact me with any of your needs for the worker protection standards. We have books, we have DVDs, and again, I am available myself to provide assistance with compliance and with virtual training. Thank you and have a great day.
Please take a moment to complete the brief survey links below. Your responses will give us a better understanding of how we are doing and how we may better serve your needs in the future. To access the survey, you may scan the QR code on the left using your smartphone's camera or QR code scanning app, or enter the link on the right into your internet browser. Thank you.